baseball statistic leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're talking about here is you can go in to, we'll just call it DraftKings, and you'll go into Major League Baseball. You can go into player futures, or regular season leaders actually is the tab. And so it'll be home run leader, strikeout leader, RBI leader, hits leader. So you can basically bet on all of these, the season-long totals as to who will end up as the leader in each one of these categories. And of course, the home run leader, I would imagine, I'm going to guess, is probably the most popular of any of these markets. Everybody wants to bet on home runs. I can only imagine that home runs is the one that's actually getting the most attention here. So we'll start off with that one. You can probably imagine who your short shot is.
Yeah. Can I ask you, I'm going to ask you a more macro question first of betting markets like this, because you're a much bigger baseball bettor than I am. Home runs might be a separate issue when we address this, but are these seem smarter to me right off the bat if you're going to bet any of these regular season leaders to look for a longer shot if we're really betting these preseason?
It's the only thing that makes sense because, one, the odds throughout the course of the year are not going to shrink that much, certainly on these guys at the top of the board. And then further, I mean, look, injuries still are a thing. So at the top of this board, let's just say this, for example. Aaron Judge is 6-1. Mike Trout is 8-1. They are your two short shots. Alonso is 9-1. But we're looking at Aaron Judge and we're looking at Mike Trout. Well, Aaron Judge, of course, hit 62 home runs last year in 157 games. In 2021, though, he hit 39 in 148 games. 2020 was the pandemic year. But then he only played 102 games in 2019. He only played 112 games in 2018. He had 27 homers in each of those seasons. You really got to go back then again to way back to 2017 for him to have played the majority of a season in which he played 155 games. He hit 52 home runs. So you have the Aaron Judge factor, which is, when he's playing, he's definitely hitting home runs. But the problem is staying healthy. And then of late, you could say the same thing about Mike Trout, right? So he has played 140 games in a season just one time since 2017. And that's very unfortunate because Mike Trout, when he's in there, is absolutely a beast. So he hit 40 last year, but that was in 119 games, missed a ton of games. He hit 45 in 2019, and that was in only 134 games. If you look in the last 11 seasons for Mike Trout, he has played 1,367 games over those 11 seasons. So if you break that out into a 162-game average, he's averaging 41 home runs a year. I mean, it's just ungodly numbers. The problem is he doesn't play anywhere close to 162 games over the course of the year.
Right.
So you really do, in my opinion, if I'm getting involved in something like this, it's got to be a double-digit guy, if not even a kind of higher double-digit guy for me to look at, because there is, listen, every single game that a guy's not in the lineup, of course, is 4 fewer opportunities for him to hit a home run, and if not 5. And so you start to look at these numbers where you got Judge, who's missed tons of games over the last couple of years. You have Trout, who's missed a ton of games over the last couple of years. Yordan Alvarez has missed significant time over the last few years as well. And so I'm going down, man. I'm going into that like 18-ish to 1 type, looking at a Matt Olson type guy before I'm really even putting a ticket in my account that, again, it's a long baseball season, folks. So you get an account, you get an account that is full of baseball futures, and you're going to be like, oh boy, what have I done? Like, what have I done? You open your account, and it's like this long, full of baseball futures, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah, that's hanging out money for a while. Yeah.
That money is just sitting in there marinating for a long time. I mean, for what it's worth, if we look at some of the projection systems that are out there as to what they're telling us, now you can look at Zips, you can look at Steamer. You can even look at some of the really reputable fantasy sites as well, have pretty good algorithms that they go in and do projection systems as well. On the Steamer side of things, their top, I'll just give you quickly their top 10 guys. Judge, Vlad Jr., Trout, Schwarber, Alonso, Tatis Jr., and they have Tatis Jr. as the number 6 guy in home runs, and Tatis Jr. is going to start the year suspended. So just let you know where that is with this home run market. Yordan Alvarez at 7, Ohtani at 8, Riley, and then Olson. So they do have Matt Olson inside the top 10. You can find him at 18 to 1 in this market. So it's just kind of something to keep in mind. If we look at the Zips projections, both are going to have Aaron Judge at the top. One has 44 homers, one has 46 homers for Aaron Judge. Yordan Alvarez, Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber, but Matt Olson actually jumps up to 5th whenever we look at the Zips projections. and they have him slated for 36 home runs. So if we kind of go in and we say, what if Matt Olson, whatever projection they have, he goes 10% above that, and what if they go 10% below for some of these guys above him? Then now we start to get into where they're more even, right? I mean, like that would put Matt Olson up at like 40 homers. That would bring Judge back down to something like 40-ish, 42-ish, 41-ish homers. So now you're separated by just a homer if we say he overachieves by 10% and Judge underachieves by 10%. Now you add in any sort of injury factor in there as well. That's kind of how I approach these types of markets. And so again, so a guy like Olson, if he can overachieve by 10%, if these guys above him underachieve by 10%, and plus the injury factor weighs in as well, an 18-1 on that type of guy, I think is interesting. And I don't think you'll feel dumb about locking up money for 6 months with a guy if you at least got 18-1 in the account.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to throw a couple names at you, guys we've discussed in the past. We'll get your thoughts. I'm going Rowdy Tellez. That's where I'm going for lead the league in home runs. Okay.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. He's actually inside the top 14 of all the projection systems. And
Boom!
Stuff
there
like
we
that.
go.
And
55-1 on Rowdy.
And if anybody doesn't know why Kelly might like Rowdy Tellez, just Google a picture.
He's a big guy.
Just Google a picture, Rowdy Tellez, and Kelly and Rowdy have partied before. like they're good friends, and so. So that's something. But yes, he's actually inside the top 12 in one of the projections, inside the top 14 in one of the others. But you can find these guys over on Fangraphs. You can go in and look. They do have full season projections over there. And then you can't go exactly just by the numbers that they have projected. Now then you take those numbers, compare them to other projection systems. And then also, like I said, what could be a ceiling scenario for a guy? What could be a floor scenario for a guy? And then you start to look at the odds. Now compare that to the odds that are posted. And that's why I ended up landing on a guy like Matt Olson, where I'm kind of like, okay, his ceiling might actually be 42, and if there's something a little bit under that, then that's something that we can look at as well.
Ryan Mountcastle, the great Mountcastle.
Man, he did so well for us for so long, and then just for whatever reason, he just fell right off. We would be on air, and Ryan Mountcastle would hit a home run seemingly every at bat. And then when we started betting on him to hit a home run, he didn't hit a home run for like a month. Like for literally, because we were like, you know what? Why are we on air and we're not betting this guy to hit a home run? He's hitting a home run every single time that he steps in the batter's box. Me and Kelly start betting the guy. He goes like in a month-long drought and doesn't hit a home run.
Yeah, that's what happens. He's sitting at 70-1 in this market, and I found a triple-digit one for you. O'Neal Cruz at 100-1.
Okay, all right. I mean,
Matt hates it. That's Matt.
If you want a long shot, maybe something like that. If we look at the RBI leader category, you're going to find Judge and Alonso up there again. You're going to see these guys that were up there for the home run title. That being said, it isn't necessarily all correlated here, and the reason I even bring this up is you can look, and some of these guys start to pop onto this a little bit higher onto the odds board with a guy like Kyle Tucker, with a guy like Rafael Devers. These are guys that hit in the middle of lineups that don't necessarily hit a ton of home runs where they would be considered as a home run leader, but certainly get a ton of hits, hit with high average, and again, hit in the middle of lineups. Now, Kyle Tucker and Rafael Devers, the reason I bring those guys up in particular, you have a 14-1, you have a 13-1 on these different guys, and they are projected 2 and 3 in a couple of the projection systems out there as far as RBI for the season. And so that actually, I think, does project a little bit of value, because all three of these projection systems have these guys way, way up at the top, and you could get a 14-1 on a Kyle Tucker. You get a 13-1 on Devers, as opposed to like half of what you're getting on Judge and Alonso and things like that. So, I mean, I think those are at least guys that are pretty interesting from a betting perspective that don't necessarily pop on the home run side of things, but certainly from an RBI perspective, you could get in there at a little bit longer odds.
That makes sense. Definitely a different handicap when you're looking at this kind of market, right? The teams and guys that are in front of these guys in the lineup matters a whole lot more.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.